How goes it? I'm Logan. Don't mind me. I'm just playing on my shiny new Nintendo Entertainment System. It's all I'll ever need. Is it too late to take that back?
I'm pretty sure it's obvious, but I was born into a Nintendo family. I inherited my mom's NES even though I used the white brick more. Even though I didn't use this thing much, if at all, I still hold some kind of attachment to it. It actually had some decent games, which is something that the Wii could never say. No, I don't hold the same kind of attachment to this thing as I do with the white brick, but the few memories I had, I still cherish those memories to this day. Man, this was such a great console. It had... I'm not sure what to consider this. Nintendo made some of my favorite games on this thing. Donkey Kong, anyone? And without it, I don't think gaming would be doing as good as it is today. Well, let's talk about this console's entire life and see just what so great happened. So the Nintendo Entertainment System released on October 18th, 1985 here in North America. Nintendo originally made playing cards, as do most fetuses, but they decided to dip their toes into video games at a terrible time. The lack of quality control on the Atari 2600 completely crashed the gaming industry. Not only that, but retailers had no interest in carrying video games and consoles after that whole thing. So Nintendo had to face an uphill battle to really find steady footing in this industry. At least in North America. As I mentioned before, Nintendo made playing cards before the NES. By 1929, Nintendo became the largest Japanese trading card company, and Fusaro Yamauchi was ready to retire and hand over the company to Sekiro Kanata. But about 20 years later, Hiroshi Yamauchi was named president of Nintendo because of Sekiro Kanata's deteriorating health. In 1959, he made a licensing deal with Disney to make playing cards with their characters. Yamauchi felt the company was severely limited by the trading card niche that they put themselves in, so he changed the name of the company from Nintendo Playing Card Co. to NCL, Nintendo Company Limited. He decided to venture into some other businesses that failed. Sex hotels, toys, and taxis. He saw some success in these, but decided to go back to what made Nintendo entertainment. In 1969, Nintendo tasked Gunpei Yokoi with designing, in quotes, something great. He made the Ultra Hand and it blew up. 1.2 million units sold, which may not sound like a lot compared to what Nintendo is selling now, but trust me, that was a lot. At this time, video games were the thing in North America. Nintendo partnered with Mitsubishi to make the Color TV game series. They didn't blow up, but it was enough to keep Nintendo from going under. In 1977, Shigeru Miyamoto was hired as the company's artist. In 1980, Nintendo set up an American branch named Nintendo of America, and they found little success at first. They made an arcade game titled Radar Scope. Yeah, it didn't do too well. They had thousands of cabinets left over. Well, one more time can't hurt, right? Oh, hell yes! Guess who released in July of 1981? By June of next year, they sold over 60,000 cabinets, earning them over $180 million. It's funny to think that this saved Nintendo. Now, of course, console gaming is starting to pop off. So, naturally, they worked to make a console that is powerful for its time, yet leagues less expensive than its competitors. On October 18th, 1985, here in the US, Nintendo released a brick. This brick is one of the best-selling game consoles of its time. It helped revitalize the gaming industry after the infamous crash of '83. But how? On the outside, this doesn't look like anything special. A brick. Maybe a controller or two? I really like this design. That's all I can say about it. It's okay, there's just nothing interesting to talk about. There's these vent things for some reason. Not sure what the reason is. They just kind of exist. They later redesigned the system in 1993, known as the top loader. And I gotta say, I definitely prefer this design. They also redesigned the controller with this system, known as the dog bone. But it's impossible to not appreciate the original. This is where the D-pad was born. Sure, it was on the Game & Watch before, but this is when home consoles got it. Now more about the brick. What is this? It's an iconic design, no doubt, but I'm sure some have wondered what this is when this was released. But at the time, this is the thing that dreams were made of. The idea of playing Donkey Kong in my own home? Now that's magical. This thing came with a robot, Rob. Now how many times can you say your console has had a damn robot made for it? Go ahead. Try. This thing was easily the most important in terms of the NES's accessories. It made the console appeal to a younger audience and allowed it to be labeled as a toy. My toy has a sticker on it and Goo Gone doesn't work. Hey, remember this famous slogan? Well, they weren't joking. At least for the time, this really does feel like you're playing with power. The idea that you could go anywhere under your own roof? Oh my god. It's sometimes easy to forget you're even holding a rectangle in your hands at all. We can't talk about this console without going over the games that came with it. I own over 40 NES games. Could you tell? I own games from all types. Super Mario Bros. 2? Super Mario Bros. 3? Well, let's go over some of these games and see just how well they hold up today. Around this time, North America was still suffering from the video game crash of '83 and avoiding video games like the plague. They didn't want anything to do with these things. So what does Nintendo do to smooth North America over? Market this thing as a toy. They did so by packing it with the light gun accessory, the Zapper. Just call it a damn gun. And Rob the Robot. They also packed in 2 games with this, Gyromite and Duck Hunt. Gyromite showed off how Rob worked, while Duck Hunt showed off the light gun. And for $140, you could get all of this. The NES launched with 17 games: 10-Yard Fight, Baseball, Clu Clu Land, Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Golf, Gyromite, Hogan's Alley, Ice Climber, Kung Fu, Pinball, Soccer, Stack Up, Super Mario Bros. Tennis, Wild Gunman, and Wrecking Crew. The most iconic of which being Super Mario Bros. Ask any homeless man on the street if they want to play Super Mario Bros. 9 times out of 10, you'll be having some fun with someone you should be throwing bricks at. The replayability this game brought with it was unlike any other game released before then. It's not like most arcade games where it's just a static screen and you need to pose a threat to ghosts. You're given entire stages to progress through. And where does the replayability come from? Well, things this game hides in it, of course. Secret items in these boxes, pipes that take you to underground stages, or maybe the World 1 Warp Zone. That I flipped shit over seeing for the first time. Clu Clu Land I never understood. What kid looked at the shelf and said, "Mom, that. What the hell is a balloon fish?" You swim around trying to uncover all of these gold ingots, I guess. I don't know what anything here is supposed to represent. Duck Hunt is easily one of the most important games on this thing. It quickly became a commercial success and helped popularize games that used light guns. And with this being one of the NES's pack-in titles, it would inevitably be one of the most iconic games of all time. Stack Up is the only other game that utilized Rob moving on. Hogan's Alley, don't shoot civilians. Wild Gunman puts you in a duel, and like Hogan's Alley, my reaction time is terrible. Tennis, baseball, soccer, 10-Yard Fight, just call it football. Golf. Pinball, I always hated how on the cartridge and box art it's not pinball. That's Breakout. Excite Bike, easily one of the best games on this system, and one of the most iconic. One glance at this thing and you'll think to yourself,
Excite Bike.
Kung Fu. Wrecking Crew. Ice Climber. You climb ice.
This thing is easily one of the most important game consoles of all time. Not my favorite, but easily one of the most important. Well, I don't think this thing has aged well. It aged better than the Nintendo 64.